Hi there everyone. So today I'm going to talk about distraction and how to maintain focus. Now, if you're a working professional, do you find that when you are working away, you're getting easily distracted, there is lots of things pulling your attention, whether you are on a phone, on a Zoom call, and then you see notifications keep popping up whilst you're in an important meeting, which then distracts you for even just a brief second. Also, you do feel like you have a lot of things that you need to get done on your to-do list, but you are on this Ferris wheel, keep running, but not really accomplishing or moving the needle. I had read Deep Work by Cal Newport about 9 years ago, and that has truly transformed the way I work in my professional setting. And what I wanted to do here is distill a few things and share with you, so hopefully you could actually implement them in your day-to-day life. So if you're new here, my name's Nimisha and I've created this channel, A Spark Within. I am an investment banking professional, I'm also a non-exec director, and I sit on a few charity boards, as well as a parent to a 4-year-old and now a content creator. Now, how many times have we started something and you've been excited, you're thinking, okay, I need to get this paper drafted, and then you get into it, and then you look up and you see your email pop up, and you can see an email from someone, and then you think, okay, I'm going to quickly check that, and then you get back into your work. And then as you're getting back into it, you get another notification again, and this is, so after an interruption, it can take us up to 23 minutes and 15 seconds to get back into that original thought, which is ridiculous because then you're always on the back foot. And I have found this within, like for myself, if innocent, you're thinking, okay, I've just got this email and I'm going to spend 2 seconds literally just glancing over it, and then you get back into writing this report, but then it takes you longer to get back into that zone. So that one innocent email check basically has a huge impact on the rest of Cal. In Cal's Deep Work book, he came up with this term, knowledge work, and deep work is actually it does predominantly apply to those who are based who's a working professional, and this is the kind of work. So an example of shallow work is where you are doing a lot of administrative stuff. Let's just say just responding to emails, or actually even going from meeting to meeting. Now, obviously these things are important and shallow work is needed, but we need to be cognizant that the ratio is not too high. And shallow work, it makes you feel busy, but it's not really moving the needle. And then the second term is called deep work. This is where you are doing, it's hyper-focused work. It's about intense, distraction-free focus, where it's pushing your cognitive abilities to its maximum. And typically people can only do about 4 hours of this in a day. After that, it is basically a point of diminishing returns. In this zone, this is where you are coming up with this creative magic, some breakthrough ideas, and this is what actually moves the needle. Now, I wanted to just clarify that I'm not saying that deep work is the best kind of work. We just need to be intentional and be mindful of how much of deep work, how much of shallow work are we doing in a day, and is the ratio aligned to the expectations as well. Because if you're then doing a lot of shallow work and you are extremely busy and you're thinking you're achieving anything, but it's not really driving any results, then you should be looking at this and saying, actually, I think I'm actually spending a lot of time on this shallow work, and I need to reduce it and increase deep work, which is where I'm going to be moving the needle. Or if you're doing constantly deep work, but then you're actually dropping the ball on the administrative things, that's not cool either. So we need to get the balance right. Share some 7 pointers from this book. The first one is you create a rhythm. Now, he has given a couple of examples of different types of workers, and I'm not going to get into that because it's a bit too much detail, but in summary, what he's saying is try and find the most ideal rhythm that suits your personality. So for some people, they're better at working in the morning, and they get the freshest ideas. They can actually get into the most difficult things. Some others, just because of the nature of the work, they cannot focus in the mornings, but they have it sporadically, and that is okay. But what you are encouraged to do is figure out what is your rhythm, and then you stick to it. 2, you create rituals that encourage focus. So there's a number of studies have said that if you create associations, it will trigger in your brain that it's in that particular setting. So what I mean by that is, let's say you clear your desk, and it kind of signals to your brain that yes, now you're going to be sitting down to be doing a particular kind. So your mind tends to learn and anticipate the same sort of condition every time you do that task. So for me, which is quite actually, when I was reflecting on this, and I realized I didn't realize that this was what was happening to me. So when I am doing deep work, I always have my headphones in and I'm listening to music, and the music that I always tend to default to is Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata. So that's always playing, but I've noticed that my brain just gets into this hyper focus and I've just zoned everything out. And I've been doing this for 9 years now, and I just can't listen to any other music apart from that, and it just gets me into the zone. So number 2 is try and figure out what are your rituals. It could be drinking a nice delicious cup of coffee and you are working on a paper, or it could be that you go for a walk and it's a particular route, and that then signals to your brain, actually you're now going to be going into this. Number 3 is prioritizing the highest impact work. So it's actually before you start doing deep work, is planning in advance that which items do you need to focus on, and then also ranking them and saying, okay, this is the most impactful, so you're going to work on those first. And what this is trying to avoid is multitasking, because you can only work on one thing, and you just then zoned onto that one particular thing, and then you can move on to the next. And if you're not multitasking, it doesn't. The 4th thing, which I find extremely useful, is time blocking or fixed scheduling. So the day before I do my shutdown, which I'm going to get to, is I look at my calendar and I section off when I'm going to be doing deep work and what particular things I'm going to be doing, what that deep work is going to include. So I basically diarize all of that into my calendar, because that is a meeting to myself. Otherwise, it's just going to get filled up with other people's priorities, and it means that I'm never going to be able to achieve what I need to get done as well. So as well as doing this fixed scheduling, and when it's into your diary, it is also making you hyper focused, and you are actually quite mindful that you're not going to go over this time, because there is this whole principle called Parkinson's law, which is time will basically, your work will expand to fill the time. But when in this context, if you just say, I'm going to spend an hour on, let's say, report A, and I'm going to try and think of the strategy on this, and you just allocate an hour on that, you will stick to that hour. And if you do need other blocks, then you start adding it in, but at least you're not then spending 6 hours on something, and whilst you're then checking your emails and you're jumping on other calls, it is very, very contained. Reduce distractions. I say it's really obvious, but it's also the most hardest thing. And there's a number of distractions that we have, and also we don't even realize. It could just be our phone that's just sitting on our desk, and you're getting constantly notifications that's coming through, but then your mind will just be diverted to that ping every 30 minutes, or it's your inbox is open whilst you're working on something, or your Teams chat is also open and you're getting pings from from your team. So again, when you are doing deep work, the encouragement is that you do close down everything that would basically distract you. And when you are not, you can of course resume those things. But in that moment, you are not having those things, which are basically is when it comes to emails. I find the way we're using emails has become very much like an instant messenger. You want people to send like 1 or 2 lines, and then it's basically a ping pong of impact. And it also means then you're expecting a response, so you keep checking your inbox, but then you see an email for another particular item that you wanted to work on in 3 days' time. So then you start thinking about that, but then you've been basically diverted from what you were originally working on. So what Cal is saying in his book is you should be looking at email and working harder to draft those, and rather than looking at it as an instant messaging thing, really make them process centric. So it will take you longer to draft that original email, but you're going to be reducing the number of emails back and forth. Thus, you're going to stop checking your inbox every, I would say, 10 minutes to see whether you've had a response on that particular thing. And also what I would say is when it comes to emails as well, you do time block that. You put it into a calendar when you're going to be checking your emails. So you're not basically checking them every 30 minutes. It could be that you check them every 2 hours, but it's in your calendar. So then or whatever frequency works for your profession, it's in your diary and you're checking them and at those. And 7 is track your progress. Now, Peter Drucker, who is a consultant, said, what gets measured gets improved. So what again is encouraged, let's say you're getting started, you're new to deep work, you then keep a tally of how many hours of deep work did you do every day, and that will also give you that positive loop, positive feedback, because you're then seeing that, or you could see actually I didn't do it on this day and what were the reasons, or I did more of it on this day, again what conditions allowed it for that to happen. And then finally, number 8 is rest or rejuvenation. We really tend to underplay this and we feel guilty for doing this, but it is the most, I would say, essential thing that we need on a day-to-day basis. So after you actually completed your workday and you've had a clear shutdown, and clear shutdown means you are looking at your items that you have accomplished, and also you're looking at your calendar for the next day. You then have a clear shutdown and say, okay, now I'm completely done with work and not going to be thinking about it. And then you are letting your brain just literally just zone and enjoy. And that's when you are letting your subconscious really percolate any ideas that's lingering. It's letting your brain sort out any concepts that you were trying to process, because then when you do come back the next day, I guarantee that you will be a lot more refreshed, but also you would have better habits, which I'm going to run through. And when you do this, it actually gives you a deeper sense of satisfaction about your work and what you're accomplishing. Now, I hope you found this useful, and if you did, please put some comments down below, and it will actually be fantastic feedback for me, especially as this is a newly created channel and I'm trying to as well learn as I'm posting. So I would be extremely appreciative if you could just let me know what you think, how did you implement it, and what benefits did you see. Alright, till then, I'll say see you soon.